Hi, I'm Kevin,
I'm Jeff.
and this is Cyberlancers.
All right, so today we are going to take some interview questions from one of our employees.
The first one we have ready is, as Cyberlancers, what are your core values?
An easy one, hopefully. Yeah. Do you want to take a stab at that or me? Yeah.
It's integrity,
Oh.
communication, ownership, strive for success. See, I got the strive for success one this time now. Ownership, integrity, communication, strive for success, and then not ego, confident, but without ego.
Yeah. Good job. I'll try doing that too. Yeah. So again,
You can do the elaboration about the longer version of
Right.
the core values.
right. No, well, I like introducing it that way, and then kind of having examples of each. So let's randomly pick them off one at a time. So I think I'm going to start with one that's a little different. So everyone has integrity, of course, but let me start with confidence without ego. Why that's important to us. I think that's one of the big differentiators with Cyberlancers, because so many developers, they usually come into two camps. They're usually very confident, and they love letting you know how confident they are. And bless your heart, I've been there. When I was younger, I was like this. And those are the folks that are very, passionate about certain technologies, and it has to be this technology or that way. Well, we're not looking for those kind of folks. Well, what we want to do is build a culture where we're very confident. We've had hopefully a lot of successes, but we've had our failures too. And it's those failures that keeps us humble. So confident that we know what we want to do, confident that we have a good solution. We can come in and help folks problem solve, but we'll never throw that in anyone's face.
Well, and I think what I want to add to that too
Yeah.
is so many times, like when you're coming and being brought into a project.
Yeah.
Is unless it's a fresh, brand new project, which rarely happens, it's usually a project that others have worked on.
Yeah.
And what I've seen so many times,
Mm.
and it irritates me, is the new team that comes in order to establish themselves as the experts,
Right.
they go and they attack the previous team that worked on that code.
Yeah.
And it's even worse when that team is still there.
Yeah.
So when you're coming into a company
Yeah.
to work as consultants or as contractors to work on it, and you start attacking members of that team and their code.
Yeah.
But it's because these companies are they're trying to show their ego.
Yeah.
They're trying to show that the only way that they can show their expertise is by putting others down.
Yeah.
And we've got bit on that.
We did.
We've had clients.
We've had
who
our
call
own
us up
client.
screaming
Yeah.
and yelling because the new company that came in started attacking and saying what poor decisions we made. And then we have to go back and say, but the reason, yes, looking back at it now, those were probably poor decisions. I'll admit they were, but there is no context with those decisions. Like, we made those decisions for a reason,
Absolutely.
whether it's budgetary reasons
Right.
or whether it be other outside forces that were pushing us towards making those decisions.
Right. Yeah. That was a tough call. I remember that. And the unfortunate thing is, yes, that's confidence, but I hate that. They came in, they blamed the previous developers. In our case, that was us. And they had no context of why we did it. And actually, as it turned out, after we sat down with them, we had very good reasons for doing what we did. And yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I think the other value I want to go and touch on,
which
because
one of
it's
your
such a big
favorites?
one for us, is communication.
Communication. Great one.
And there's all sorts of different forms of communication that the aspects that all roll into
Mhm.
our value. One of them is it's important that we be there and answer questions from our clients, from our developers, that we're able to go and be able for people to reach out to us. I always hated how when I worked with other companies, a client would ask a question and then 3 days later they'd get the response.
Yeah.
To me, it was always so important to be able to respond back to client questions within the day, if not immediately.
Yep.
So many times it's easy that I'll get an email, I'll get a Slack, I'll get something that comes in and I'm able to respond, because to me, I value that communication. I hate when you're waiting to hear back from someone and it's tying you up from being able to work because you're waiting back for that response.
Absolutely. And it's an easy one too to interview for when bringing new folks on board with Cyberlancers, because it's almost one of those things, either you're a good communicator or you're not, quite frankly. And that's why interview is always a conversation for me. It's not a list of questions that we're trying to kind of grill folks on. It's trying to get a sense of how well you communicate and how well you will communicate with our partners and our clients.
Yeah, I mean, another aspect of the communication that you and I have talked about for a long time is we're also, at least you and I, we have the skill of being able to communicate. I don't want to call it different languages, but it kind of is different languages. We say that we can span the gap between tech speak and marketing speak.
Absolutely.
And people might go and think, well, really, is that kind of a skill? But you know what, it is, because so many technologists out there speak in this level of code. They go and
the three-letter jargon.
They use the jargon.
The jargon, the three-letter acronyms.
Without wanting to explain it.
Exactly.
And then on the marketing side, they've got their own kind of jargon they use, but they have a harder time understanding the technology. And beyond just the language that's used, it's also the concepts.
Right.
Marketing has their goals that they're trying to accomplish, which at many times contradict or conflict with IT's goals.
That's right.
So one of the things that we can get into, or that we enjoy, is talking about performance and SEO. And that is typically more of a marketing sort of thing.
Right.
To where marketing needs a website to be fast. They need a website to get a certain Google Lighthouse score. And IT, when you go and tell them to make a fast website, they don't always quite understand. They think that they have a fast website, but they don't understand it in terms of what Google or what marketing are looking for when it comes to a fast website.
Right. Why you're doing it. The reason behind why we're doing it.
Because the focus so much with IT is usually the back end.
And they're speaking different languages.
Yeah.
So IT isn't speaking the same language as marketing.
Yeah. And so that's where Jeff and Kevin are able to come in there and kind of help bridge the gap, because even though we're IT, even though we're developers, even my first job as in software, I was mostly working with the marketing team. I spent more time with the marketing team than I did with my own development team. And have even seen that coming forth. It's like most of the time it's spent working with marketing than it is with IT.
Absolutely.
And so, yes, we've started to pick up on those nuances of marketing. We know what they want, what they expect.
Yeah. In fact, almost every job I've had dual reports, and I would report directly to IT and marketing and kind of be that handshake between those two groups. So great one. So that's communication, and we're not unique. It's not just Jeff and Kevin. We pride ourselves that our entire company is dedicated to great communication. I think it's one of the number one core values we have, because frankly, we're going to have successes, we're going to have challenges. I'll put it that way. But as long as we can communicate openly and be honest, we're going to be okay, and we're going to really do right by everyone. The other one I want to talk about. So I kind of mentioned everyone has integrity. So let's talk a little bit about integrity. So everyone has integrity. Well, for us, it really means, and I know every company says this, but it really means something to us. And I'll give you an example. When I first started my career, I started out as a database administrator. And I was managing a lot of production databases for a large mortgage company. And I was pretty young early on in my career, and I just made a mistake. I ended up deleting a production database right in the middle of the day during prime time. And I kind of froze. I'll admit it. I froze for about 5 minutes and just sat there and went, what did I just do? And fortunately, I was pretty quick on my feet. So immediately I recognized, well, let's at least fix or minimize the problem. So I ended up fetching a database backup, which we had put good ones on, restored it. We were back up and running in about 10 minutes. And then I froze again, said, uh-oh, now what do I do? So I was all back up. And I said, well, I'm just going to be honest. And I marched right into my boss's office, sat right down. I said, Doug, I'm so sorry. This is what I did. And I'll tell you, from that moment on, Doug could trust me with anything. And I became Doug's right-hand man after that, because he knew he could trust me.
Yeah.
I had screwed up. I fessed up. I owned it. And I think that's what we're looking for in the people.
Yeah, it's hard to go and admit those mistakes,
Very hard.
but that's how you build that trust.
Yeah. And so that's what it means to me to be, that's why integrity is so important and one of our major core values that we interview for.
Next question.
Did we get them all though before we go?
Well, we did the high level ones.
Do you want to do examples of
I
focus
don't
on
think we need to do all of
success?
them.
Again, thinking we could distill this.
I think just going, it's talking about a few of our favorite ones, because otherwise we're just gonna keep going on and on.
Okay, all right, next question.
But I'm thinking what we'll do, like, obviously this is getting edited out, but what we'll do is
Oh, yeah.
each of these questions can become like a new blog topic or something.
I think so. And by all means, it's the key to the editing is going to take us walking on and distilling it down to the good parts. Although I don't know, can you do that in a natural? You'll figure it out.
Some of it's gonna be hard to do. but-
Some of it will be hard to do, but I'm sure you can do it.
All right. All right.
He's going to yell at me. This is what he does now.
What career accomplishment makes you most proud?
Ooh, good question. Most proud. I'll have to think about this. My most proud career accomplishment.
I think probably for me, it's going to be launching the Tervis website. That was probably the first big e-commerce site I worked on. And with that, like I came on probably after 25% of the work had been done. There was another developer who was working on it along with me. I got hired to kind of help out because it wasn't progressing as quickly. So I came in there, I had to learn Sitefinity, which I had never worked with Sitefinity before, but learn Sitefinity and then really create this e-commerce site. And unfortunately, the developer I was working with was going through some issues at home where he wasn't quite as available. And so a lot of the development of it fell on me to do the majority of it. And so really created this top-notch e-commerce site. And then along with it, I expanded more and learned some Flash development and helped create the customizer. And Tervis had this customizer concept to where you could go and customize your own Tumblr. And with it, you would put designs on, and then you would see those designs on a rotating cup, which there was a lot of work that went into that.
Really cool. Yeah.
But then beyond that, I created the entire system to go and take what you designed on the web and then distill it down to a file that could then be sent to a printer in order to print that final cup. And so we had to go and work with the print shop into exactly how do they want the files. And as much as I hate math, I had to figure out a lot of the math because here we had a flat design surface that then we had to put into an arc, because if you think about a cup, how it's shaped, you have to be able to take it, it kind of comes at an angle, and you've got to be able to take this and wrap it around.
That's big.
And so it's kind of an arc. And so you have to take this flat, map it onto this arc, and still have it, because people would put their names on there or they'd pay pictures of their family, and you can't have this warping effect. So it was a lot of math and all sorts of other things to try to figure out how to put it into this arc, to put it onto the print shop for them to cut. So that took a lot of work and a lot of thinking for something that had never really been done before. And to be able to go in and see that and the end product, and to see just how it grew, just how many people were making use of that customizer. It was really, really neat to see, and really an accomplishment to see that out there.
That was a great one. It's a tough question for me. I'll answer it. You know, what was my greatest, what moment was I most proud of? I've had a lot, and I've been very fortunate to be part of some wonderful teams that have had, just as a team, just tremendous success. So to narrow it down, I think the one that stands out the most is actually richmondamerican.com, Richmond American Homes. And we basically, this was just at the infancy of websites. And up till that point, I was actually running a small agency that was building small websites. And Richmond was the first time that it was ever multi-million, multi-year project of launching an ultra, I'll say performant at the time, but a lot of traffic website, mainstream enterprise website that needed, for the first time, this was the first time, a content management system. This was the very first time content management systems were available. And I'll just say that team came together, and the day that we pushed the button and it went live was I'm proud of the day my children were born, and I'm really proud of the day that Richmond American launched. That was a really special moment for me. Again, and I was just fortunate enough to be part of the team that pulled that off.